You're listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Grow Clinton is a 501c6 nonprofit economic community development and tourism organization based in Clinton, Iowa. For more information, visit growclinton.com. Again, that's growclinton.com. Now, back to the show. What's happening, all you beautiful people out there in podcast land? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Grow Clinton podcast, brought to you by Grow Clinton, a nonprofit economic development, community development, and tourism organization located right here in Clinton, Iowa. As always, I am your host, Andy Sokolovich of Grow Clinton, joined by Jenny Home, our Director of Member Community. What is it again?
Member and Community Relations.
Yeah. I wrote the job description. That's what it is. Just testing you, Jenny.
Thank you. I passed.
Yeah, Jenny, it's an exciting day.
It
it's a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
We're making progress moving into our tourism center next door.
New. It's just new. It's so wonderful. It's new.
It's new.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Got rid of all the old furniture.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was going to be that hard to give away furniture
for free.
$0. And I still had to ask people.
Beg.
But no, a gentleman came in, I believe, from Missouri. And he brought a big enclosed trailer, and he was starting up a business and had no office furniture and was looking for stuff and didn't really want to go buy anything top of the line. And stuff we had was nice. It was just really heavy.
Right.
And I don't think there's a huge market out there for those big executive desks. You know, people like to have those kind of lightweight mobile desks so they can either do a standing desk or they can rearrange the room relatively easy.
Well, sleek.
So yeah, sleek. You know what else is sleek, Jenny?
What?
Well, that's right. Miles Communications. They power the Grow Clinton podcast by offering us some wicked fast, high-speed internet. Check them out, milestelephone.com. Milestelephone.com, a small little cooperative based in Miles, Iowa, thriving metropolis.
It's a beautiful.
I don't know what the population of Miles is.
I don't, but it's a perfect
community,
example of an Iowa community.
Yeah, very small community, but Miles Communication does a great job also offering television and telephone services. So if you're interested in their service, give them a ring. Look up their number, milestelephone.com. Call Scott Bodie. He'll hook you up. If they're not in your neck of the woods, they are on their way soon. Great show today, Jenny.
Oh, my goodness. We were talking right before we went on air about all the exciting things going on.
Got to be on your best behavior when you have a superintendent of a community school district in here.
And driving the bus.
And you're driving the bus.
Yeah, I was telling Jenny this morning I was a bus monitor. And then during the noontime, I picked up preschool kids in a 12-passenger van. And when I'm done here with this podcast, I'm going back to jump in a bus to take home students.
There you go. That voice you're hearing is Mr. Justin Shaffer, Superintendent of Camanche Community Schools, located here in Clinton County. Now, the bus thing is like a rite of passage, I think, for superintendents. You do it while you're an active superintendent, and then you retire. And you continue to do it. Neil Gray in Northeast, is driving a bus. Who else? Gary DeLacy's driving a bus.
Right.
I don't know if Tommy Parker's driving bus, but
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but no, those guys are still in the mix because I saw Gary DeLacy at the Clinton Community School District Administrative Building. And I said to him, when you retire, you don't come back.
Yeah.
Like you just enjoy your life. And he's like, well, I'm driving a bus. So good for them for continuing to stay involved. But Justin, you're just finishing up a year in the position of superintendent. What have you experienced over that year as you enter into your second school year as the soup?
Yeah, so year one, just would give a huge shout out to the team in Camanche, the school board, our community, our educators, the whole team. Quite a challenging year when you reduce a budget by $1.2 million. But the exciting thing is we did that without taking away any opportunities for kids.
Yeah, that's great.
And so we're proud that this year we're reduced our budget by that $1 million, and every opportunity that existed last school year still exists. And then getting back to the transportation conversation, just really proud of the teamwork across the district, trying to model that myself by taking on additional responsibilities within transportation and leading by example because they got to get done. That's just how it is in public schools right now.
That's super impressive.
So let's learn a little bit about you, Mr. Shaffer. When did you begin your career in education?
Sure. So I graduated from North Scott Schools and went off to UNI.
Panther.
I am a
Mhm.
Panther through
Purple
and
and
through.
gold.
So after graduating there, I was looking, that was 2007. The educational world was quite different. It was very competitive in regards to finding positions, and there weren't a whole lot of positions available. And so really would have loved to land it in the Iowa City area. That's where my wife was attending school at the time, but found a place here in Camanche and became a teacher back in 2007 and did some coaching for a 5-year stint, and then was middle school principal for 9 years, 2-year stint of being 512 principal in Camanche. At that point in time, when I was the 512 principal, I realized that I had a skill set to develop other leaders, which I didn't know up until that point in time. But when I had that opportunity to cultivate 2 assistant principals, I realized, I should pursue this thing of becoming a superintendent.
Sure.
So
That's
Homegrown.
awesome. That's awesome. Now, is your path traditional? I mean, you become an educator, you eventually take the administrative role as principal, and then you kind of work your way up to superintendent. Is there any special classes you have to go to, a certain degree level?
Yeah, so I ended up getting my master's at St. Ambrose, and that was in educational leadership to become a principal.
Okay.
And then I got an ed specialist certificate through Drake. That was a 5-semester program.
Wow.
So while being a principal, was taking courses in the evening and then driving out to Des Moines on the weekends.
Oh my
once a month,
goodness.
to go out there. So it was great work. I am proud of the program at Drake specifically because it was a cohort model, and I was with other aspiring superintendents from all over the state of Iowa. So I have a great network outside of the group that I'm really proud of here in Clinton County, that we really collaborate, but I also have other people across the state that I can reach out to when I have questions regarding.
Yeah, that's one of the things I learned as I became more involved in economic development, and all the superintendents from our larger districts are strategic partners in what we do here, especially from a workforce development perspective. But you guys collaborate very, very well. And I will say, like, between yourself, Wes Golden in Clinton, and then what is the young lady's name?
Alicia.
Yep.
Alicia Christensen.
So they're all brand new, by the way. All superintendents within all of our districts in Clinton County are brand new. Yep. And I think that's cool.
You know what?
Because that's fresh ideas and again, a willingness to collaborate.
And all 3 of those that you've mentioned, Justin, what I love about your story is that you came up through the ranks to do that. So you know every working part of what you're doing. So if you have a question, you don't, just delegate and say, no, you can say, I can handle this myself, which is something people admire.
Yeah, you've experienced it.
Yeah, and that collaboration amongst the new superintendents has been really powerful. I would give a shout out to the Clinton School District and just being open and willing to collaborate with transportation. So this is the first year of a transportation sharing agreement with Clinton School District.
Great.
I think 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been a conversation that ever would have been.
I agree with you.
We wouldn't engaged in that conversation. And so Wes and I are coming in with a different lens and a different perspective on it and willing to collaborate. That's what the state's asking us to do, is to look at all those incentive options for collaboration. And right now they're maintaining 6 buses for us. It's going really well. They're a great resource for us, and transportation is running super smooth right now in Camanche.
Well, as you and Wes were both entering the position of superintendent for your districts, you guys last year collaborated in the fine arts with the theater groups. So you co-hosted basically a show, correct?
Yep, we did. We did co-host a show. That was something that was kind of brought to us through the directors. Wes and I had a quick conversation about it and said, if this is what they think is best, let's do it. They also had a theater that wasn't going to be ready, so that kind of pushed them a little bit. But it was a great performance and allowed some unique partnerships and connections to be built within our fine arts students that I think will be better because of things like that.
It's a big deal to get the students together too. You can live in Clinton, Camanche, Fulton, and you might go all the way through school and not really meet anybody. And you're so close. I mean, the communities are so close. So I think it's really great that they had the opportunity to work, not only meet people, but work with them and collaborate.
Yeah. And I think the world of club sports has kind of changed that a little bit. I see that with my own children that, they have friends, they go to Camanche, but they have friends from many different school districts when you participate in these sporting activities. And I think the same thing exists within fine arts. We just had traditionally stayed within our silo, and it's time to break down those silos.
Nope. I totally agree. I share that mindset 100%. Now, you said you had to cut $1.2 million from your budget. What was the impetus behind the need for that cut, and what steps did you take to get that done?
Yeah, so realistically, we had lost roughly 40 students in the last decade or so, actually more than that. And school funding is 100% based upon the number of kids that are inside of your school buildings. And so we had kind of thought, next year it'll get better, next year it'll get better. And you just can't take that approach. So we proactively just offered an incentive last year, a very simple incentive of, hey, if you're not going to come back next year, which would be this current year, we'll offer you $5,000 if you tell us by a certain date in November. Then it changed to like $2,500 and then $1,000. We capped it at a $40,000 incentive, and we had 8 people within the first 2 weeks that took that incentive. And so it was over and done with, which then allowed me and my administrative team and the board to really look at the people that had turned in a resignation and think about job duties and shifting of responsibilities and how could we share some things.
Great plan.
Yeah, that's a great plan.
That allowed us the time to be proactive. At the end of the day, we cut $1.2 million, and I pink slipped 1 teacher. So I think that's a pretty great accomplishment when you stop and think about it. So the main goal was we're going to do what's best for kids. And I kept reiterating that to the school board when we were making these tough decisions, and openly communicated that to our educators inside the buildings that we're going to do what's best for kids. And it might be extra work for us as adults. For example, for me, I'm handling some transportation responsibilities. It's extra work, but it was what's best for kids. And we're going to continue to have that mindset moving forward.
That's the lens you got to look through.
Right. I don't think you'll find these students are so lucky, because I don't think you'll find anywhere where you have 3 superintendents of the schools who are so passionate about the kids and about what's good for them and their, future. That's incredible.
Lots of different backgrounds too.
Yeah.
Justin worked his way up through the system to become the superintendent of Camanche. Wes Golden, same thing, dedicated educator, retired Fulberg colonel from the Army. So he comes with a different thing of life experiences that he can apply to educational leadership. It's just very inspiring. I think it's been a long time since I've witnessed this level of collaboration. And you said earlier about breaking down those silos. It has to happen. And if you're all sharing the vision, you're looking through it through a lens of what's best for the student, it's guaranteed success in the future. So kudos to you, kudos to your entire team. I remember our superintendent when I went to high school, she was from Germany.
Oh,
big woman. She was, just like not big as like obese, but just a force,
stout.
Right?
Yeah.
And back then, this is a horrible story, but we used to have these things called paper hornets.
Oh yeah.
And you would just fold paper real small. This is before you had smartphones. This is what we did to entertain ourselves. But she would always call them paper wasp or something. She would always call them paper butterflies. And she'd come in and yell at us in this very thick German accent, like, "You do this paper butterfly." That's the worst German accent ever. But yeah, so yeah. Gertrude, it was her first name. Yeah.
That's
hope she's
on
not
point.
Listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys do a phenomenal job. Now talk to us about the future of the Camanche Community School District. What do you have planned, and what can students and educators alike expect?
Yeah, so we went through a goal setting opportunity with the school board. We're really starting to focus on some of the academic things now that some of the financials are taken care of. We'll always have financial goals, and we've got to right size the district. That's what I kept talking about last year, and that'll be an ongoing process, right? Student enrollment's going to ebb and flow, and one of our goals is to try to get enrollment to just kind of stabilize. And I think one of the ways that we're going to do that is through marketing. We've got to tell our story.
Yep.
If you're out on Camanche Facebook page, or if you're not, please consider following, whether it's the district Facebook page or any of our buildings. But we're trying to control the story and tell the narrative of what's going on inside the school district. And I think that's helping, because it's a competitive market nowadays with open enrollment and school choice and all of those things.
Which was totally new to me. I didn't know that even existed.
Really?
Well, where I grew up, Pennsylvania, you went to the district you lived in.
Right.
I mean, there was no open enrollment.
Mhm.
And then it wasn't until I moved here that I realized that was a thing.
Yeah, and open enrollment, I'm happy that we now have the deadline again. It was kind of free for all there for a couple of years when there was no deadline.
Which sucked because you couldn't really plan.
Right.
No planning at all. Some of the other goals that we have, we're always going to advocate for having 100% graduation rate. We'll always try to achieve that.
Mhm.
It's a high and lofty goal, and we know that. But we're going to always shoot for that. Some other things, we're looking to really reduce absenteeism. We had 150 students in the district that met the definition of being chronically absent last year.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's a concern, right?
It's
because
a
then
huge
they
concern.
become employees in our workforce and they don't show up. And then we're having to beg, borrow, and steal to cover them when they're in the workforce.
And if there's no reportions, they feel empowered to continue that lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah. One of the other goals, and a segue after this into J term, but one of our other goals is really to get our 5th through 12th grade students exposed to career and college opportunities at a young age. I know what I expose my own 2 children to, or what we choose to do as a family, but that's not happening in every household, and kids need to know about all of the different opportunities that exist. And so we're starting something new. We rebuilt our school calendar this year to have the first 5 days that we go back after winter break, we're calling J term. And so it won't be first semester, it won't be second semester, but it'll be called J term for 5 days. And it's really going to be about career exploration. We're going to divide up at the high school into some career clusters, and kids are going to be able to pick and choose, and they'll be able to have a couple of days of an internship or an externship if they can line something up. And so you'll hear more coming from Camanche High School specifically here in the next month or so about trying to engage some of our community partners to take advantage of that.
Let us know how we can help.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to
jam.
Just the 5 days is something that we think would be successful. That let's just say a bank, for example, they could commit to a 5-day time period. Asking them to do something for a full semester or for multiple weeks is probably a little bit too much, but we're looking forward to this 5-day opportunity. We're doing this 5th through 12th grade, so our middle school will also be engaging in some career clusters, and we're going to do it on like a 2-year cycle. So there are career clusters defined by the state, and we'll take half of them this first year, and then the next year we'll take the second half. So during your high school opportunities, you'll have an opportunity twice to get both of the career clusters to be exposed.
I love that.
Explain
I
the
love
career
that.
cluster.
So like finance. There's
Okay.
many different areas within finance as a career cluster. Think about a financial advisor, think about a banking institution, all of the different layers that fall into finance. Agriculture would be another one. There's lots of different parts within agriculture, from farming, but also then to turf management would be something that we have. We have kids that are interested in turf management, but that's not your typical career cluster. But we can find ways with the Clinton Lumber Kings being right up the street here. Can we have an expert who helps with field maintenance come and talk to our students about turf maintenance and the future of that? And how can you get into that career?
This is incredible because when I was in high school many years ago, I had no idea all these jobs were out there. I mean, you had overall idea of you could do this or you could do that, but there was no discovery like this of what kind of jobs were out there.
Yeah, so we're excited about it. I think it's something different about Camanche. And so we'll continue to promote that moving forward. And what it is this first year, it'll obviously be different in year 2 because we'll learn from the things that don't go well. But even today I was meeting with the high school principal, Mr. Davis, about how many buses do we have available? And if we want to go to the Quad Cities, how are we going to be strategic about locations where we might drop off kids and then continue with that bus going to another location, those types of things. So
no, that's great. Career exploration, obviously, is something that we focus on a lot here at Grow Clinton. Stacy Borgeson in our office, our director of workforce development and talent attraction, is a great resource. One of the things we pride ourselves on here is the relationships we built with all of our major employers and small businesses alike. So any help you need on that front, just let us know.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll reach back out.
Yeah, lots of great stuff happening. Now, how many kids are in the district?
We'll probably be right around 900 total students in the district.
Jeez.
That's good. That's more than I thought.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we reduced. We're pretty much a 3-section building, or 3 sections per grade level. First grade, we went down to 2 sections just due to some smaller enrollment. Kindergarten ended up being higher than we thought it was going to be. We thought initially it could be in the 40s, and it's pushing being up to 60, which is a good thing. One of the next big conversations the school board is going to engage in is just discussing preschool and what does preschool look like long-term in Camanche.
Smart.
So we have some neighbors that are offering full day options. We do not offer that. And so when APK closed its doors in Camanche, we no longer have center type of care in Camanche. And so there's no longer 3-year-old preschool opportunities, and 4-year-old is just a half day opportunity in Camanche at the school district. So we're going to engage in a conversation about, is that okay? And are we okay with that? Because we know that there are 4-year-old students that live in Camanche that are taking advantage of preschool opportunities here in Clinton. And are we getting 100% of them to come back to Camanche for kindergarten? I don't know about that.
Right.
And so that's something that we'll start having conversations about here within the next month or two. A little unique right now with the upcoming school board election in November. And so it's hard to discuss a whole bunch of things right before an election. We want the people that are going to be newly seated to be able to voice their input on some of the decisions that are going to be impacting next school year.
Now, I had the opportunity to go through a program called Leadership Iowa. It is a product of the Iowa Association of Business and Industry. It's so cool. If you've never heard of it, just search Leadership Iowa online. But basically, for 10 months out of the year, it's one weekend a month. You travel all over the state and you learn about things like ag and municipal development and state government and healthcare. But one of the things you learn about is education. And I remember vividly sitting there it was like a Wednesday evening, Thursday, Friday, listening to a subject matter expert attempt to explain to a bunch of laymen, myself included, how school finance works. After 2.5 days of sitting there listening to this and taking copious amounts of notes, which I very rarely do, but I was interested to learn how this functions, I still don't understand it. I mean, it is a very complicated system, and it's a very complicated thing. So, a lot of times knee-jerk reactions when we hear about, school levies being increased, or we hear about school deficits, or we hear about having to reduce $1.2 million from the budget. It's not like you're managing your budget at your house.
Not at all.
It is a very complicated process. And what you were alluding to earlier, Justin, was the cost per pupil. So the state funding that flows out of the state government is an amount that is issued to the district based on how many students you have within your school. And that number and that formula, is somewhat antiquated and is very inequitable. And it is a shame that, and I'll stand by this, that the value of student in location A is different than the value of a student in location B. What makes the location A student less worthy of the full impact financially from the state than somebody at location B? And I can never receive a good answer to that.
Yeah, and you probably won't. But I would continue to ask everybody in Clinton County should be advocating for the inequity in funding to be eliminated across the state budget. It's something that impacts all of our Clinton County schools. It impacts us differently based upon how much of an inequity there is, but we all experience that. And it's really based upon a 1970s funding formula.
Yes, it is.
You can drive through Camanche and you'll quickly realize that in the 1970s, things were different in Camanche than they are today. Industry was booming. We've got a lot of positive things going on. I'll give a shout out back to you guys in Grow Clinton, but there's a lot of activity at the rail park and it's exciting to see that. I'll be driving bus later on today out into some of the rural areas of our community, and I'll be able to take advantage and look at the solar farm that's going in as well. So there's a lot of promising things going on. But really getting back to eliminating that inequity and the funding would be a great thing for Camanche. And then just always being a strong advocate for public schools and increasing the state supplemental aid. We need to keep up with inflation at a minimum, but we also need to analyze some of the things that are also impacting that. For example, special education funding. It's expensive to educate our students, and some of our high need students, the devices that they require or the assistive tech that they require is not the same as it was in the early 2000s when I first became an educator in special education. Those things have changed. And so we need to go back and reevaluate that. I'd also go back to the conversation that we had at the beginning about the collaboration and getting back to a conversation that happened yesterday with the county supervisors and just tax levies and all of that. If you have questions about the tax rate, please come and ask us. I could give you an in-depth analysis of why Camanche's tax rate is the way it is, right? We passed a bond a couple of years ago, so automatically it's higher. We have a voted PEPL levy, which we just passed last year, which is $1.34 on your property taxes.
Can you explain what a PEPL levy is?
So the PEPL levy is for physical plant and equipment. So that's what we buy school buses out of. That's what we can buy a 12-passenger van out of. That's what we can maintain and upgrade our facilities with. That's that fund. And so we need that, right? A bus nowadays, the bus we bought 2 years ago cost $140,000.
Oof.
Right? We need to buy a bus next year. And right now we have budgeted 160 because that's what we forecast it might get up to. So,
and people don't think about that. They just think a school comes with a bus.
Right. No, you gotta stay on top of
all. Well, they think Mr. Shaffer's like Scrooge McDuck in his office swimming through gold coins.
Yeah, buckets of money.
There's probably no more of a shoestring budget than a school budget.
Oh, no kidding.
And there's no more of a budget that's under scrutiny and under the microscope than school budgets as well. And what I find to be absolutely crazy is you need to turn in your budget by March?
Yeah.
And then technically the legislature is supposed to define their school supplemental aid within the first 30 days of the legislative session. This past legislative session, they were already halfway through before they even released the school supplemental aid for that year. That's crazy. They have to come up with the budget based on numbers they don't even know what they're going to be yet.
Yeah,
it's almost impossible.
Yeah, when we're budgeting that way, we're publishing worst case scenario, right? And that's what puts fear into the public. Is when we then will base a budget on 0% SSA because we don't know, right? And so then we're going to forecast out worst case scenario, and that's when people have mistrust in the information that's been presented to them, because then it's changing, because then we do get supplemental state aid, but way after the fact. And so if we can all just stick to the timelines, that would be great. And then also have a priority and a focus on public education in the state of Iowa needs to be funded, because our public school students need to come first.
And I don't think people think about how important it is to support the children in the community. We lose population out of Iowa all the time. And when you invest in the kids and they remember that, and they remember a great experience, being in a town that cares about the youth, when they grow up and they have their own kids, they'll want to come back, just to give that to their own kids. So, investing in your youth and in your public education is really important.
Yeah. And even I would add, we're proud this year we have 19 students up at the career academies at EICC. So career academies are programs that are certificate based. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to continue on, but you're going to at least have a certificate that you could show to industry that I have extra training in this expertise. And that, I think, is another avenue of keeping kids here within our own backyards.
That's
I think the
critical.
P-TECH program that you guys obviously have talked a lot about, and we have a Camanche student that graduated that's in that P-TECH program that we're super proud of. I think that's another way that we're going to keep people in Clinton County and stop that population loss.
Right.
Yeah. Well, in closing, as we bring this podcast to an end, I will say there's probably nothing more impactful in the human experience than what you experience K through 12. Oh. You have fond memories of like college and things like that. For me, it's the military. But when you honestly sit down and reflect on some of the relationships you built, the friendships, the experiences, how vulnerable are you in that time of life when you're starting just to develop as a human being, as an individual, before you reach that professional status and you're 18, you graduate, all the influential people that surround yourself with, from educators to parents to friends, it all starts in school.
Oh yeah.
I would 100% agree with that. I am a superintendent today because of what happened in K-12 for me. I had great experiences. Last year, I actually brought my 6th grade teacher to the back to school day. And she was my role model and why I became an educator. And I wanted the staff to see. You never know what your impact is going to be.
You don't.
And same thing with coaches. I had great role models through my football program and track program that still influence me today in the way that I go about leading the school district.
It's so true. I mean, Sokolovich is a unique last name. So when I was going through school, they knew where I came from, what family. There wasn't many of us around. My dad's siblings, some were well behaved, some not so much. So they'd always ask me, like, okay, who's your parents? Who's your father? Which one was it?
Why?
My dad was very involved in sports, very athletic, played football. His coach in football was Coach Starr, Pete Starr, and he was my gym teacher and coach growing up. And Pete, it was like your typical, you close your eyes and you think of a 70s coach in high school with the short Rawlings pants and the socks pulled all the way up to his knees with the stripes around him. That was Pete Starr. I don't know if the guy's still alive or not, but he used to just throw pitches and go, can of corn, here comes the can of corn. But you can remember that. I can't remember what I did last week, but I could tell you stories of my high school experiences.
Well, and I think if you get a great high school experience, I was lucky enough where my parents all went through the Clinton school system. And so, you have some of the same teachers. One of the weirdest things was I had a teacher, and then when I had my own kids in school, I had to go back to a conference for my kids with that teacher. It was strange, but that's what the point is about investing in your kids and how lucky they are right now in this area to be a part of a time where the superintendents are on the same page and they're so excited about it and so passionate and so invested in what happens to the kids.
Yeah. And you got to love those educators.
Oh,
because you're not going to get rich being a teacher.
No, you're not. And you have to care.
It's not, I mean, they do it for all the right reasons.
Exactly.
Because they have a passion for educating children and supporting the development of those children and ultimately their education, their future success. And they contribute probably equal to, or if not more than the parents, because they spend probably more times with those kids than some parents do. So kudos to them.
It's a gift.
I have a lot of respect because I know I was a little hellion as a kid.
Oh man.
I used to walk in and see a substitute and just pivot and walk around.
Yeah, like, I'm not dealing with this today. It's a gift. It's that in education, being in any type of education is a gift. I mean, you have to have the patience, you have to have the passion, you have to really care about it. I don't know. I say a lawsuit waiting to happen because I'm just a little strict. So I don't know if I would, have that gift to be able to handle kids like,
a special person.
It does. It really does.
All right. Well, Mr. Shaffer, Superintendent, Camanche Community School District, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Grow Clinton podcast. Anything you need, you know where to find us, sir.
Yes.
Jenny, what do you got going on the rest of the week?
I got some visits to do. We got a couple of more podcasts.
How did your visit go today? You were over the
candlelight,
right?
Yes.
Chicken George.
I love talking to Matt Prescott. He's very passionate. He's very community minded. It's a great environment to go in. That work culture there. They very rarely lose any employees, and just a very great, a great guy to go in and talk to, and you walk out pumped up.
Yeah, that's a great community project too. A lot of people don't realize that building is actually owned by the city of Clinton.
Oh,
Candlelight leases the property to support their restaurant.
Yep.
So that was a great endeavor to put a eatery on the riverfront.
Love it.
Unmatched, beautiful overlook of the
Yes.
Mississippi. So great spot. All right. Well, Jenny, you have a great rest of your week. I got stuff going on. I don't even know what. I live and die by my calendar.
You do. You run in every
Today,
direction.
we didn't have an emergency, but we had something come up that I had to deal with very quickly. And I totally forgot about a meeting. I had virtual meeting at 9:00 and I kind of blew the person off, but they were understanding and empathetic. And I realized that
can't be helped sometimes.
Sometimes I run around like a chick with my head cut off, but it's all good, Jenny.
You know what I see here is something new as well.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that? It's not on the
do.
camera. Can you grab it and show it to all of our millions of listeners? So what I have there, right, is a Super Bowl 52 champion, Cooper DeJean, also a Hawkeye. That's bobblehead right there. So that was nice. I'm excited about that. Eagles won, beat the Cowboys.
Oh, man.
Not really excited about the game. Not excited about their play.
I was
not excited about Jalen Carter at all. What a fool,
Oh, I felt embarrassed for him.
Well, they're looking into it because I guess they want to know what Dak Prescott said.
I don't care.
There's people saying that he that Dak spit first, and it's just like, Spitgate 2025. But when you're operating at that level of professional sports, you can't be doing
Come
that crap. You
on.
can't. You shouldn't do that ever.
No,
that's total. There's nothing more disrespectful than spitting on somebody.
And here's the thing: you talk about kids. How many kids are watching this and looking up to these?
Well, I'm
people?
sure Jalen Carter's high school coach probably sitting there going, "Wow, I'm disappointed."
Right,
Mhm.
super
to act that way.
disappointed.
But yeah, luckily, I mean, he's going to get fined to the kilt, and he's going to probably get suspended, and sucks for the team. But
Sure does. And that's the thing. It was the game. I was surprised by the score. I thought it was going to be a nasty blowout, but yeah, it was a good game. But that kind of just ruined.
Speaking of bad games,
Yes.
tuned in last night to Monday Night Football.
Let's not talk about it. I'm a Bears fan.
Ooh, yeah, that was rough.
I didn't see it. I didn't see
Bears
this.
were up by 11 coming into the fourth quarter, and
Yeah.
then did not go well from there.
I had already called 2 of my principals and said if the Bears win, we're having a 2-hour late start.
Oh, and what was the score?
I don't remember what the final score was. They lost.
They lost by 3, I
But,
think it was. But
Oh,
They blew an 11-point lead coming into the final quarter of the game, and just got smacked by the Vikings towards the end. And
Mhm.
when teams get that
Yes.
forward momentum and really just start feeling that rush and that power, and we're getting there, we're putting points on the board.
Yeah.
It's hard to stop them. So, but
Yep. All right, it's going to be a long season.
all right, everybody, will enjoy the rest of your week wherever you're at. Thank you again to Miles Communications for hooking us up with wicked fast, high-speed internet. MilesTelephone.com, MilesTelephone.com. Until next time, folks, stay classy. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all your socials. Until next time, see ya.